First off, can't play me, I ain't no Xbox. I'm pulling up, busting windows. I'm at your mama's spot, kicking cups, smacking dice. I'll make this block hot, no trapping here, slacking where? Wait, get your home right. I'm sick and tired of fucking crying and sleepless nights. Bitches approaching me, telling me they don't know of me. Oh, you think you slick, you think you got one up? You better ask my last nigga, cut his ass right up. Yeah, can't cry but spill milk if I knew it was rotten. And all these memories we had, they was quickly forgotten. Oh, this nigga think he's smooth, he tryna cast it over me. Keep on lying through his teeth, leave his ass like Emily B. No pink turtlenecks, but I'm feeling bad. You left, I can't let him go, but watch me loosen up. My grip, I'm hopping in my bank. I'm talking about that go wall. Shit, I need a couple bags. Ain't talking about no go yard, bitch. You geeking for? I'm really about to drag and go cry no more. I had to tell that nigga stop playing with me before they find this picture on murder Inc. Be more careful with me. I ain't like these other bitches that you used to better watch the way you handling me. I told you let's be careful with me. You better be more careful with me. I ain't like these other bitches that you used to better watch the way you handling me.
Hello, my darlings, and welcome to another installment of Be More Careful. Excuse me. The revised edition. I'm reading from Kindle. It is by the king of urban fiction, Shannon Holmes. Excuse me. Shannon Holmes wrote his first novel, Be More Careful, while in prison. When it was published, Be More Careful immediately became a #1 bestseller, making him a major name in a new generation of hip-hop fiction. He followed Be More Careful with the bestsellers Bad Girls and Never Go Home Again. He lives in North Carolina with his wife and their 2 daughters. Hi, darlings. Much love, hugs, and kisses to those entering the room. I forgot to share it, and I didn't do a some people do I'll be there in 30 minutes or whatever. I didn't do that. I never make my time mark. This seems to be the time now that I'll be reading, which is later than the hours I was reading before. But okay, that's Shannon Holmes. Okay, that's right. Please like, share, and subscribe. And tip if you appreciate the reading. Thank you. It helps me invest in more books for you all. Okay. Excuse me, y'all. Y'all know I like to start with a clear throat. And the fact that my canine baby has decided to wake up with me, he's up here with me right now. I'm sure you'll hear him in the background. He seems to want to be a part of this broadcast since the last episode. So please excuse him. Okay. Here we go. Chapter 11. What a difference a year makes. In that time span, Nard had handpicked Black out of all his workers to run a new dope shop on Preston and Bond Street. Besides this promotion, he had just recently purchased a brand new black convertible Porsche 911 Turbo. That used to be my favorite car. I hate to say that. One of my neighbors across the street had one, and I thought it was gorgeous. Okay, I digress. He was rapidly rising in the ranks of the drug world and in life. Now he had his own shop to run. Nard fronted him the weight so he could come up. So his come up was a given. Excuse me, I'm going to reread that sentence. Nard fronted him the weight, so his come up was a given. He had the responsibility of hiring and firing his own workers and runners. And he liked that. He set the pay scale and he paid them. He wasn't a Scrooge when it came to understanding the next man had to eat. However, Black ran a tight ship. Every worker was to be on the block before shop opened at 7 a.m. or get docked a part of his pay at the end of the day. The dope Black had was raw, and it was knocking other hustlers out the box. He quickly became Nard's number one moneymaker, which was impressive, considering Nard had quite a few well-established drug shops running. Being that dope fiends were known for being fiercely loyal to whom and where they copped their dope from, Black used all kinds of gimmicks to attract new customers. He played on their greedy nature, giving out free testers while others sold theirs. He understood that if he sold more of the product at a reduced price, he would still see a substantial profit. The money was in the quick flip and how fast he sold the dope. Being boss doesn't come without its share of headaches. When problems arose, Black had to personally nip them in the bud. 27,500, Black counted out loud. The money was still short by 1,500. He and his lieutenant Stan were counting and recounting last night's take over and over again. The money was short yesterday too, yo, by $2,000. I didn't say nothing because I wanted to see something. Now, I know for sure, yo, that somebody's stealing, he said as he looked at Stan. Stan's chickenpox marked face showed an expression of puzzlement. He arched an eyebrow and quickly replied, "Don't look at me. You know I would never cross you like that, yo." Stan now had a worried look on his face. He knew who the culprit was. He was the one who had personally vouched to get the kid the job. "Fuck you talking about, yo? I put you in charge of these niggas. They answer to you, and you answer to me. You supposed to be on top of this shit. I pay you to direct the traffic, and you can't even do that right. When I find out who the sneak thief is, I'ma take his head off. And I should take yours right along with his, yo," Black said, glaring daggers at Stan. Stan was petrified of Black, just like everybody else. Black was known for carrying a gun at all times. Everyone knew he'd use it. Stan was scared he was about to use it on him, but on the contrary, Black didn't suspect Stan. Actually, he trusted him to a certain degree. If he thought it was Stan, they wouldn't be having this conversation. Black would have already killed it. "Go get that work from downstairs. Shit, I might as well count that up too and see how much of my shit is missing," instructed Black. Like a flunky, Stan went and fetched the dope that was hidden in the basement of the stash house. When he returned, he passed Black the bundles of dope. They were taped together so they now resembled a brick. Black unwrapped them and began the painstaking process of recounting them. Stan looked intently over Black's shoulder, praying that shit was there. He was in enough trouble as it was. Please let it be right, he thought to himself. This shit is short too, yo. Black growled as Stan began to move away from him. There's only 400 bundles here. It's supposed to be 500 bundles. Who the fuck been in here besides you? Asked Black, ready to tear shit up. Miles, this the only nigga I ever let up here, yo. Stan quickly confessed, hoping Black wouldn't be even more upset. You ain't supposed to have nobody up in here, yo. No bitches, no workers, not even your mother. This ain't no fucking hangout. Motherfuckers ain't ordering takeout in this motherfucker. This is a stash house. You only come here when you have to put up the money or get some more dough. You're supposed to be protecting this shit, motherfucker. From now on, don't bring nobody with you. Matter of fact, we're changing houses. Too many people know about this one. Thanks to you, said Black, frowning his face as if to say why. Stan just stood there. He couldn't say anything to really defend himself. Truth was, he was too busy trying to play boss around Miles, and Miles had turned around and robbed him. Miles knew he fucked with Black, but to hear Stan tell it, he was the man. Now look how the tables had turned. Where the fuck is Miles at? He asked Stan. I don't know, yo. He ain't show up today, muttered Stan. I guess the fuck he didn't. Motherfucker done robbed my stash and shit. And you don't fucking know, said Black heated as he walked past him and rolled his eyes. What the fuck do you know, motherfucker? Asked Black. I don't know, said Stan, truly not knowing at that moment. Well, know this. Both you motherfuckers gonna be taught a lesson. You? I'm docking your shit for a week's pay for being so fucking stupid. This week you work for free. Maybe putting in work and not balling will help you get your mind right, said Black, knocking that nigga back down to size. But Black, said Stan weakly protested. But what? What, motherfucker? Black said, shooting him a cold stare, letting him know that he wasn't playing. Nothing, yo. Stan dejectedly said, accepting the monetary loss. It could be worse. His ass could be standing with Miles, meeting their maker together. Success hadn't made Black soft. If anything, he was harder and hungrier than ever. The more power he got, the more he wanted. He couldn't believe somebody had the audacity to steal from him. There was no way Miles wouldn't be made an example. An example of what would happen. Excuse me, y'all. That's the canine child who doth protest too much. Wouldn't let him in my bag. So now he done hopped off the bed and he's probably going to go mess with his father. Jesus, have mercy, God. I will start over because I don't know how much of that he covered his movements. Okay. Success hadn't made Black soft. If anything, he was harder and hungrier than ever. The more power he got, the more he wanted. He couldn't believe somebody had the audacity to steal from him. There was no way Miles wouldn't be made an example. An example of what would happen if you fucked with Black. The streets were watching and waiting to see how he handled this situation. If he didn't lay down the law, every dope fiend and their mother would be lining up to rob him too. Murder was the only deterrent, the only message he wanted to send. The message the streets respected. That day, Black cruised Miles' Patterson Park neighborhood. He was looking high and low for him. He checked all his usual hangouts. but he had no luck finding him. The more he searched, the madder he became. Day turned into night, but Black still wasn't ready to give up the hunt. Like loose change, I'm telling you, canine children are hard-headed and act out just like human children. Sorry, y'all. That was so unprofessional. Like loose change, an old enemy dropped right into his lap. It was inconceivable all the times he thought he had seen it. For Black, this was nothing more than payback. For him, it would be a matter of being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Walking right in front of his car while Black was stopped at the light, looking for bitch-ass Miles and Squirrel. Excuse me. Let's start that sentence over. While walking in front of his car while Black was stopped at the light, looking for bitch-ass Miles was Squirrel. The man who killed his father was right there, plain as day. Black was positive it was him. He could never forget his face. How could he? Though Squirrel had aged badly over the years, which could be attributed, which could be attributed to his heavy use of heroin and years of neglect. He still had those same sleepy eyes. His eyes were a dead giveaway. Here he was looking bummy and straggling along in search of an all-night shop. The streets were somewhat deserted at that hour of the night. Only the cops and criminals were out, both trying their best to look inconspicuous. Yeah. Black quietly parked his car and started following his intended victim. He waited all these years to avenge his father's death, and now finally he would. Much love, hugs, and kisses to all those entering the room. Black watched Squirrel wander from spot to spot, following him within a 2-block radius. Squirrel was going from what looked like one shooting gallery to the next, which was merely your average abandoned building that served its purpose as a dope spot. Black was close enough to him to put a bullet in his back. He could kill him like a coward, and Squirrel would have never known what hit him. But Black was no coward. He wanted to look at him in his eyes and see his fear. He wanted Squirrel to know why he was going to die. He wanted him to see his pain and what he took from him. He wanted Squirrel to die like his father had, shot dead like a dog in the street. Yo! Oh, hey, hold up! Black shouted, thinking quickly. Approximately a half a block ahead of him, Squirrel could barely hear him through the dirty knit cap he had pulled down tightly over his ears. It was a nippy fall night. Signifying, he spun around toward the direction of the noise. From that distance, he thought Black was a dope man. Chasing, he was desperate for some dope. He stopped and waited for Black to catch up. Faking like he was out of breath, Black said, "Damn, oh head, you moving pretty fast, yo. I've been trying to catch up with you for a couple of blocks." "Oh hey, you want to make some money, yo?" asked Black all sincerely. "Hell yeah," Squirrel immediately said, thinking how broke he was and how high he could be. Presently, he was looking for another dope fiend to go half with him on a bag of dope. He only had $3 to his name. What I gotta do?" asked Squirrel, thinking his dumb luck couldn't be changing, even though he was ready to do anything for some money or a bag of dope. Squirrel was ill. He had swallowed his pride a long time ago. He was living a foul life, doing any and everything imaginable except fucking and sucking dick for a blast. I'm getting evicted tomorrow, yo. I gotta be out in the morning. I got this floor model television I need help lifting into the back of the U-Haul truck. Help me out and I'll hit you off with a couple of bags of dope and $10, said Black, throwing in the dope to spice up the deal. He went in his pockets and peeled off a $10 bill, handing it to Squirrel. The stack of money caught his eye, further enticing him. He took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. How far we got to go to your house? He asked excitedly. Much love, hugs, kisses, dogs. Oh, it's right around the corner. We just gotta take the alley, old head. I'm dirty, yo. I don't want no knockers running up on us while I'm carrying all these bundles of dope, said Black, emphasizing the word dope, running his game. Damn, youngin', can I get mines now? Squirrel greedily inquired. Slow your roll, yo. I'm gonna take care of your old head as soon as we done. I got some raw too. It will be worth your weight. That was all Squirrel needed to hear. That alone was reason enough for him to go along with Black. He would have followed him to West Hill and back for a bag of raw. Briskly, they walked through the alleys till Black found the deserted area he was looking for. They were halfway through the alley, just deep enough so no good Samaritan could see them. Pretending like he was home, Black climbed up a few steps that led to a house. With his back turned, he went into his pockets, faking like he was taking out some keys to open the door. Where's the U-Haul truck? Wondered Squirrel, about to ask. Then seemingly from out of nowhere, Black turned with the gun in hand. Squirrel almost had a heart attack as fear suddenly gripped him. His mind flashed to all the shisty things he had done to burn people out of dope and dollars. Stunts he pulled last week alone were memorable. Is this the dude I sold those bad VCRs to? Yeah, this is old. The ones with the cement brings in the back. The cement brings in the back. Wait a minute. Okay, I know what that should be. Sorry, y'all. I'm so mad at Kindle. I know that these typos was not in this book like this. Kindle's translation did it. Okay. Is this the dude I sold those bad VCRs to? The ones with the cement bricks in the back? Or maybe he's the one whose stash I stole from behind the trash can. The chrome 357 Magnum, the Black clutch stared at Squirrel with a vengeance. Even in the shadows of the alley, he could see the cannon's outline, and it made him beg for his life. Beeps. I'm sorry. Oh, that wasn't in the book. Hi, sis. Myself has a kiss. I'm sorry, yo. Please don't kill me, he pleaded. Squirrel was sorry, and he didn't know what he'd done. I got a wife and kids to feed. Don't shoot me, he pleaded for his life. Squirrel was seeking some sympathy by bringing up the very people in his life that he neglected every day while chasing dope. But Black wasn't swayed by his emotional pleas. Please. His father had loved ones, too. Get on your knees, you fucking coward. I don't give a fuck about you or your peoples, yo. You didn't give a fuck about mine. You killed my father, remember? Remember, Fats? Remember, motherfucker? Black barked to him. Sure he remembered. It was the only person Squirrel had ever killed in his life. So this is the kid that was there that day, thought Squirrel. I didn't mean to do it. He pulled out a knife. You saw it. Your father was going to kill me, he cried. His voice rose as he pleaded his case. He was trying to attract attention to this deadly confrontation. Please don't shoot me. It was self-defense. You were there, remember? Those were his last words. The roar of the The roar of the 357 drowned him out. The bullet struck him in the forehead right between the eyes, silencing him forever. Black watched the squirrel's lifeless body drop to the ground. He stood there for a few seconds as thoughts of his father scattered through his mind. You can rest now, Dad. Black then turned and walked away as if nothing had happened. The first killing Black took part in was personal, an eye for an eye. He finally got revenge for his father. The second killing was business, strictly business. Human beings are creatures of habit. Black knew sooner or later Mr. Miles would return to familiar surroundings. When Miles went into hiding, he merely postponed his death by moving from Patterson Park to Sedonia. Baltimore isn't that big in comparison with other East Coast cities. So when cats go on the run, they usually go from the east side to the west side, or from the city to one of the surrounding counties, wherever they are least likely to encounter whomever they are looking for. Whomever was looking for them. Miles made the fatal mistake of getting homesick. Thinking he was slick, Miles started creeping back to see his girl at night and leaving by morning. Big mistake for Miles. Black had stalked out her house for weeks, hoping to catch him slipping. One night while he was going to the store for his girl, Black caught up with him, followed him to the store, and back, then killed him on his girl's front steps. Just like Squirrel, he watched him drop to the ground and then thought about the right, which he had done, and then walked away. With 2 bodies in less than 1 month, Black was feeling himself. He went looking for trouble, wanting an excuse to bust his gun. He thought he was invincible when he had a gun in his hand. He loved the rush of adrenaline and power he felt when he squeezed the trigger and he hit his victim. Flashes of murdering Squirrel and Miles made the adrenaline rush through him. All it took was 5 pounds of pressure for him to kill a man. The kick from the gun, the flash from the muzzle, and the noise all happened simultaneously. Then came death. Black thought he was God when he had a gun in his hand, for it was he who held the power of life and death, and you couldn't stop him. He was invincible, or so he thought. Black forgot the old saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Come on, try to make you understand. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and their shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's beef in the east, protect your chest in the west. Be more careful, better watch your step.
Cats get caught slipping and they shirts is wet. Rappers kept me scheming where that work is kept. It's Baltimore, we know for money, murder, and sex. Murphy Homes, the land of the comb and the raw bone. Yellow tape for sanity, labeled a court zone. Ammunition ranging from text to crossbows. Run up in graves, quick to put the pistol cross stones. We rapping and it ain't no secret. Taurus between the pelvis and the briefs. We got pieces that will rip off pieces. Double clips take together will endanger the species. My crime now mixed with raw, so my paper increases. I'll make a million on a busy corner. Master killers with a vicious corner. Gotta run bounce to California. Y'all niggas know how important it is. Stay sending mad work to the mortician and the florist. While I'm out of town, let's get extorted. Then escorted to the city limits. Mine's that 6-digit fortune. These locals are compelled by them evil forces. While haters get 18 holes like they up in golf courses. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and these shirts is wet. Riders kept me scheming where that work is kept. It's beef in the east, protect your chest in the west. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and these shirts is wet. Riders kept me scheming where that work is kept. It's Baltimore, we know for money, murder, and sex. From my locks to my Timbs and my all black, saw hoodlum. War wounds and battle incisions granted me wisdom. Penny gold held me as a child in his bosom. Feeding me the milk of the world. I was given the game and taught the rules by urban wizards. Got 2 words for this flow. It's superb and vicious. Matter of fact, got you more. It's intense and malicious. Yeah, they don't give a fuck up. I like to send a shout out to all my bitches from the knock 'em down to the pussy pound. Keep it tight, my bitches, cause every day in the underworld we facing dilemmas. Do we run or bust that gun? We'll face it together, my niggas. Sell pot, run it forward with big plans and big decisions. Ain't stopping our hustle, so keep it together, my niggas. It's one love. All it takes is one snitch to ruin it all. Keep your circle close knit, cause a brick house won't fall. Keep your basement door locked, don't let them rats infiltrate. Cause if you see one, then you got 20 that poison the food on your plate. Listen, build your man, cause I got a plan to make it right. Please don't come through tripping, cause you won't make it through the night. You be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and they shirts is wet. Squad is kept with scheming where that work is kept. It's beef in the east, protect your chest from the west. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and they shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's Baltimore, we know for money, murder, and sex. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and they shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's beef in the east, protect your chest in the west. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and they shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's Baltimore, we know for money, murder, and sex. Hit me.
Chapter 12. Bzz. 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 Black's pager vibrated loudly on the nightstand, causing it to do a strange dance. It was times like these he regretted having a pager. He was dead tired, and it seemed like every time he tried to get a breather and take a rest, there was always something disturbing him. Instinctively, he reached his hand out from beneath his covers. Feeling around on the table, he managed to maneuver past his keys and money till he located it. He hit a button on the pager. See, I shouldn't have looked at the chat. He hit a button on the pager, deactivating the vibration device. Slowly, Black peeked through one eye, looking at the numeric display. It read 007-911. and he knew immediately that this was trouble. It was Nard's secret code that he only used in case of emergencies. Black jumped out of the bed and ran to the phone. "This Black," he said to a female that answered the phone. "Black, this is Michelle. Nard got knocked," she said in a soft-spoken voice. "Say no more. I don't want to talk over this phone," he said, knowing exactly who Michelle was. "You know where we live, right?" she asked. "Yeah, yo. I know where you at," he answered, trying to get his mind together. "Come over and I'll explain everything," she said. "I'm on my way," he answered back. Inside Nard's house, Black listened carefully as Michelle relayed the message she got from Nard and explained to her best ability what she knew about his arrest. Black couldn't believe it was going down like this. Not his man, not his mentor, not his connect, not. Nard was too smooth, or so Black thought. He didn't put himself in those kinds of positions since his hands never got dirty. He always had someone else to do his dirt for him. There was always someone between Nard and the streets. Whether it be abroad, a soldier, or lieutenant, his risks were always kept to a minimum. This was the reason he'd never been knocked, and his organization enjoyed a long run. The next day over at Baltimore City Jail, Nard explained to Black the details of his arrest. His voice dripped with venom. "I'm telling you, yo, point blank, it was a setup. Somebody snitching," he angrily said. "The fucking knockers went straight to my stash spot, yo. How they know I had a secret compartment in my dash? They knew which buttons to hit and how many times. It was like I was riding their car. I swear. Yo, you don't even know about my stash spot. The only person who knows about that besides me is Garfield." Garfield was one of Nard's most trusted and oldest lieutenants, and Black couldn't stand him. He always said to himself that if Garfield ever gave him a reason, he'd kill him. Black knew the nigga was soft. Garfield was that type of cat who'd rather squash a beef than go to war over a block. Too many times Black saw him come to a compromise with other hustlers. In his book, Garfield was a chump and was only down because he knew Nard from way back. There was no room for weakness in the game. Nobody respects a nice hustler, and Black felt Garfield lacked that killer instinct. Much love, hugs, and kisses, dogs. Truly, Garfield wasn't cut for the drug game, and now he was snitching. There was nothing Black hated more than a snitch. He couldn't believe Garfield had crossed his man. A snitch put too much shit in the game. A snitch anywhere is a threat to hustlers everywhere. Black, I need you to take care of this, yo. You know what you gotta do. Make sure that nigga don't make it to court, said Nard. Both men stared at each other. Black looked into his eyes, knowing what Nard was asking of him. He wanted Black to kill Garfield for him. No more needed to be said. It was a done deal. Garfield was already a dead man. He was just still breathing. This is what Nard had been grooming Black for all those years, for times like these. He counted on him being a loyal soldier and kill for the cause, and he knew Black would. Rumors had been circulating on the street about Black murdering Miles, and Nard had heard them. So, he knew that Black had it in him to kill. which was apparent since day one. What Nard didn't realize was when he issued the order to murder Garfield, he'd given his little man a license to kill. After holding his dog back for so long, he suddenly sent him to sick him. And things would never be the same between either one of them again. Even though Nard was being held on $1 million cash bail, he could have bailed out. But, on the advice of his lawyer, he didn't. The $250 of raw heroin that he got caught with had the feds snooping around. Paying that high-ass bail would definitely put him under investigation with the FBI and the IRS. It was best for him to sit for a minute while his lawyers went through the legal motions. In Nard's view, it was better to fight a state drug charge than a federal one. The federal conviction rate was very high and there was no parole in the federal system. Generally, most snitches would go into hiding, but Garfield wasn't like the ordinary snitch. He kept doing his thing as usual, up on Harford Road. Besides, if he went into hiding, it would have signaled guilt. As a confidential informer, he thought his secret was safe. He was so naive to believe he wouldn't be exposed. Somewhere down the line, his name was bound to appear on an affidavit or come up at Nard's suppression of evidence hearing. The means by which the police used to secure the search warrant would eventually come out in court. Didn't matter. Nard and Black were already on him. They didn't need to see his name on any court documents. According to the rules of the streets, he was guilty and had been sentenced to death. Unknown to Nard, Garfield had been arrested for possession of an illegal firearm during a routine traffic stop. The police ballistics experts quickly discovered that the gun had several bodies on it. Garfield had purchased the gun hot off the street and had gotten more than he bargained for. He made a deal with the narcotics squad to set up Nard. The police had been trying to get Nard for years, but they could never catch him dirty. They locked up Garfield on a humbug charge, and he started talking. With his criminal history and felony convictions, he was singing to them. He knew he'd never see the streets again if he didn't, so he was saving his own skin. Dressed in all black from head to toe, Black looked like a ninja. He was on a search and destroy mission, driving a stolen hoopty while armed with 2 9mm as he cruised up Harford Road in search of Garfield. It didn't take long to spot him either. His burgundy Infiniti Q45 alerted Black to his presence in the area. It was parked on a dark side block to avoid attention, but Black saw it and made a mental note of where it was. Then he continued on his mission, cruising the block till he spotted Garfield on the avenue. Undetected and unnoticed, he kept cruising by, watching Garfield surrounded by 3 of his workers. Black began weighing his options. He debated whether he should do a drive-by. Fuck a drive-by. Too many witnesses and I still might not hit this nigga. Then Black devised a plan of ambush. He decided to get him on a block where his car was parked, hoping he'd be alone. But, passenger or not, Garfield had to die. And whoever was with him could get it too. Nothing or nobody was going to come between Black handling his business. Hours passed by before Garfield returned to his vehicle. His pockets were bulging from the day's drug sales. He had some freaky chick named Tasha waiting on him, and it was about to be on. Jumping into his ride, he never bothered to look in his back seat. If he had, he might have spotted Black crouched down on the floor. Instead, he started up the car and revved up the engine while he listened to his music. The element of surprise was on Black's side. Coming out of nowhere, he caught Garfield off guard. Before Garfield had a chance to get the car in gear, Black had the trigger to his temple. Instantly, Garfield's heart stopped and his mind went blank. The cold steel against his skin. Let me read that sentence again. Instantly, Garfield's heart stopped and his mind went blank, feeling the cold steel against his skin. His body froze as his eyes grew wide with fear. "This is from Nard, pussy," Black said before blasting Garfield's brains to kingdom come. His lifeless head slowly tilted itself, resting on the window, which was covered in blood. Mission accomplished. The next day, Black went to visit Nard. In the visiting room, they spoke in hushed tones so that no one would overhear their conversation. "I saw the news," Nard stated, filled with nothing but relief and content. "So did I. Shit is over," said Black with confidence. "I wish it was," answered Nard with a look of stress reappearing over his brow. "What?" "I may have to cop out. This shit don't look good. My lawyer's talking about 20 years, said Nard soberly. "The dope was too pure. The DA wants to know where I got it from, but I ain't telling. That's the game. It's not what they give you. It's can you give it back. I ain't got no choices," said Nard, stressed and wishing his destiny didn't look so bleak. The jail time that Nard had just alluded to was an eternity to Black. He couldn't see 5 or 10 years down the road, let alone 20 in prison. Hell no. Nard might as well do life. And from the gloomy expression on his face, it appeared he was about to. What the fuck am I going to do now? Black wondered. Shit wasn't right. Look, yo, don't you worry about me. This ain't a done deal yet. My lawyer still might beat this case. You know the game. And the game don't stop just because I'm knocked. I'll plug you in with my connect. He'll front you whatever you can handle. And me and you will be partners. 50-50. You give me my half. You give my half to my girl. What do you think? Is it a deal? Black dreamt about this day his whole life. Though he didn't think it would happen like this, with his man knocked and fucked up, he knew it would happen. Whatever you say, I'm with you, yo. With Nard off the streets, there was a void in the dope game. Black stepped his weight up and filled Nard's shoes. He flooded East Baltimore with raw dope, and he quickly got rich. As with most, this was the point when greed set in, and Black wanted more. He wanted every he wanted every money-making block to himself. So he reverted to his old ways. He became a menace. He put the dope game in a stronghold by taking over blocks. He told dudes that hustled on blocks all over all their lives that they couldn't hustle there no more. Ride or die, 'cause the ride is rough. Any sign of resistance was met with violence. When it was all said and done, Black controlled more than half of the drug trade in East Baltimore. One way or another. Either you worked for him or you purchased weight from him. Either way, you got with the program or you got killed. It was some real simple shit to comprehend. As with any coin, Black also had a flip side, a kinder side to him. Taking some of the money he made in the hood and reinvesting it right back into the community. He opened a soul food restaurant, a sneaker store, and a barber shop. I'm tongue twisting my own self. He would routinely take poor kids to his business establishments and treat them to whatever they wanted. Black was like a modern day Robin Hood. He gave back to the poor. He did things especially for the kids. He liked fixing up playgrounds, and he started summer basketball leagues and winter football leagues for them too. Anything to help them off the streets and out of the game. He handed out hundreds of new coats and toys around the holidays and treated kids to new Jordans every once in a while. These acts of generosity made him beloved in the community. But when he started passing out handfuls to the elderly, welfare mothers, and pregnant teenagers, his legendary status was solidified. Let me read that again. His legendary status was solidified. The residents of East Baltimore didn't care how many people were killed by his bullets and poison. He was all right with them. He was one of them. As Black's name began to ring, his reputation spread. Slowly, fame and fortune began to change him, and he began to flaunt his wealth. He purchased a fleet of cars, iced out platinum, and even had a brand new Bentley with a white chauffeur to drive him around the ghetto while he sat in the back watching television or talking on his cell phone. His favorite was to pull up on the block of his strip, roll the window of the Bentley down and say, "Excuse me, but any of you happen to have some Grey Poupon?" in a British accent. He'd say it, then start laughing, rolling the window up, and order the driver to speed off. He took care of his family too, buying Cynthia a gigantic house near the outskirts of town in Columbia, Maryland. He hired a cook, maid, and gardener so she wouldn't have to lift a finger. As far as he was concerned, his mother had suffered enough. Black wanted her to enjoy life now. Over at City Jail, Nard was hearing all about Black's flamboyant lifestyle. He even heard about the Grey Poupon thing, and it was all met with mixed emotions. On one hand, he was proud of Black for doing his thing, and on the other, he was concerned about Black going to jail prematurely. Thus, he'd be unable to keep collecting his share of the loot. An incarcerated Black was no good to him when Nard needed him on the streets. He had every right to worry about Black. Black was his investment, always had been. It was times like these when Nard would pull up on the block for another ride in the S500, like old times. He knew Black was unguided in a lot of respects, but he had heart. That's what Nard liked about him. Plus, Nard knew he could trust him. There weren't too many cats Nard could say that about. Black loosened up his embrace Michelle had on him. Oh, excuse me. Black loosened up the embrace Michelle had on him, readjusting her arms and legs, which were wrapped around him. He slid out the bed, trying hard not to wake her. Michelle looked so beautiful laying still. Her long, straight hair ran down her back. The green silk sheets clung to her body's voluptuous contour. From where he stood, Black could see the imprint of her round behind and perky breasts. It made his dick hard all over again. Now he understood why Nard took such good care of her and kept her on lockdown in the house. The sex is priceless. Any man that wasn't a faggot would want her for himself. She was too pretty and too perfect not to desire. I got to take care of some business, y'all, he said, dressing and adjusting his jewelry in the mirror. He looked like a million and felt like one too. He was that nigga. Michelle was irked at the fact he was leaving so soon. You just going to fuck me and leave me like that, Black? It ain't even morning yet. I thought you said you was staying that night. I wanted some more. Black was too engrossed with his image in the mirror. He wasn't paying her any mind until he turned around. Michelle was lying across the bed with her legs sprawled apart, completely exposed. She had tossed the covers to the side and was making snow angels at him. Black couldn't turn away from the view. She was sensuous, and inviting, like one of those supermodels in a magazine, but better. One look, and he was stuck. He had to have some more of that. He couldn't resist her, and he couldn't leave. Since you playing like that, I'll stay, yo. Now come to daddy. Crawl, he commanded as he began to take his clothes back off. Michelle complied, getting on her hands and knees. She slowly and seductively crawled across the king-size bed she used to share with Nard. This act was so erotic to Black, his manhood stood at attention. To him, Michelle looked like a sexy Black Panther stalking her prey. When she finally reached him, she looked up at him and took his penis into her mouth and began working her magic. Began working her magic as her hands slithered up his chest. She wrapped her fingers around his diamond platinum cross as she kept working her mouth magic. He was all she needed, and he needed to know it. There was nothing Black loved more than getting some brain. Michelle was really into it too, licking and sucking on him, determined to make him come in her mouth. But Black didn't want to. He quickly pulled away before he did. He wasn't ready. Instead, he positioned Michelle on her back as she pulled him down on top of her. Nard ain't got nothing on you. You fucked me way better than him, she said seductively, licking his ears. I ain't trying to hear that shit, yo. Shut up and let me fuck you. This was a scandalous and forbidden relationship, one that began quite innocently. It started months ago when Black and Michelle kept coming in constant contact with each other due to the delivery of Nard's share of the dough. Michelle had always been attracted to Black, but even more so now that he was the biggest drug dealer in Baltimore. He had power. He had money. And most importantly, He was on the streets. She intentionally set out to seduce him. Often, when she knew he was coming over to drop off some money, she let him in her townhouse wearing something tight or revealing, sexy lingerie or skimpy t shirts. She'd find a way to purposely brush up against him with her breasts. At first, he ignored her, merely looking without touching. Then one night, she opened the door wearing an oversized t shirt. After making sure she was in Black's full view, she bent over wearing no panties, just enough to reveal her pussy to him. He was tempted to tell Nard, but who would Nard believe? Her version or his? Black didn't know how to approach him about this. They never discussed this part of the game or took a long ride about it in the 500. All he knew was Nard was crazy about Michelle and had been with her since she was young. So young that he could have been charged with statutory rape. Eventually, Michelle's antics wore down his defenses. Her lust and desire overruled his loyalty to Nard. Neither one of them ever stopped to think about the consequences of their actions. Nature just took its course. Somewhat inexperienced in the sex department, Black only slept with young girls who were just discovering sex like him. On the side, he would get his dick sucked by fiends. Black never knew what good pussy was. He was so used to blowjobs and quickies, capitalizing on Michelle turned him out. She went all out using every sex trick in the book. She was a freak, performing unspeakable sexual acts in unimaginable positions. She made love to him and with him, teaching him how to prolong his ejaculation in order for her to get her shit off. You heard? I put that you heard in. Remember, this is a cold read. I'm reliving this book with y'all. Okay. He was open. He never had sex like this. When Black mastered the art of Michelle, she had one more thing she wanted him to master: snorting dope. If you really want to fuck all night long, you gotta try this. Do it for me, she stated as they both lay naked. In bed one night. From underneath her pillow, she pulled out a small folded up piece of aluminum foil. After unwrapping it, she revealed the dope. I don't know about this, Shell. I don't fuck around, yo, said Black skeptically. Black was more than a little reluctant to go down that path and try dope. He'd seen the harmful effects of drugs all his life. Not to mention, he hated junkies and certainly didn't want to become one. At the same time, though, Michelle was pressuring him. She was an older broad, and he didn't want to seem like the kid that he was in her eyes. Nigga, stop being pussy, yo. Are you a man or a mouse? Don't you know this shit will make your dick stay hard all night? She asked, trying to encourage him by taunting him. All the big time niggas toot a little dope every now and then. Oh, but I forgot. You're just a little boy with big boy cars, big boy jewelry, and big boy dough. Dope dick. Yeah, I just ate it. That's an improv right there. Dope dick. Black was swayed by her reverse psychology and by her verbal attack on his manhood. When Michelle mentioned the enhanced sexual powers Dope gave a man that sealed the deal for Black. Wait a minute. When Michelle mentioned the enhanced sexual powers dope gave a man, that sealed the deal for Black. Wanting to prove to her that he was a man in every sense of the word, Black went along with it. All right, y'all. I'll try. If it ain't what you say it is, don't ask me no fucking more, yo. He said like he meant it. Yeah, okay, she said mockingly, applauding his bravery. Then she passed him the dope. Black took it from her and stared at it for a moment. He was having second thoughts, even though he knew he couldn't back out now that he'd given his word. Michelle would never let him forget what a punk he was if he chickened out. At this angle, the beige powder looked strange to him. Black never had any drug this close to his face before. Michelle noticed he was hesitating, so she scooped up some dope on her long pinky fingernail. She put it up to his face so he could see it, practically feeding it to him. She put it up to his nose. He sniffed that pile in one nostril and another pile in the other. Sniffing and holding his head back, trying to get air, he felt a sneeze coming. Don't sneeze. You'll waste the blast. You gotta hold it, she warned. After Black succeeded in not sneezing, she shoveled some more huge mounds of dope up his nose, like she was feeding a baby. Michelle got a kick out of being the first one to turn him on. She joyfully watched, waiting for the dope to take effect. This ain't so bad. This is what I've been afraid of, he thought to himself, not feeling a thing yet. They began taking turns getting high, passing the dope back and forth between them. Black took his own little hits with the edge of a match cover. In the midst, it suddenly hit him like a baseball bat to the stomach. The dope caused Black to double over in pain. He was feeling nauseous and ill. His stomach acids were rising up his esophagus and willingly would come up his throat. Unconcerned about him, Michelle kept on sniffing. Black realized nothing was going to help him short of throwing up. He jumped out the bed, naked, and raced down the hall to the bathroom, barely making it to the toilet bowl. He vomited the contents of his stomach, making it only to the sink. Collapsing between gasps of air and still feeling sick, Black crawled over to the toilet bowl, raising the lid and seat. He rested his forearms on the side of the toilet bowl, and his head began to spin. He felt sick again. Michelle made her way, moseying her fat ass down the hall to the bathroom. She stood over top of him, dope in hand, still sniffing. With a smirk on her face, she calmly said, "You'll live. Don't worry. It happens to everybody the first time around. After you throw up, you'll be ready to fuck all night long. I promise you." Between his coughs, chokes, and sickness plaguing him, for the time being, he barely acknowledged her presence, merely holding up his middle finger at her. But once the pain subsided, pleasure began to take hold of him. Oh, yes. The joys of temporary pleasure enhanced by the most powerful drug known to man, heroin. He stood up, gathered himself, and wiped up. He rinsed his mouth and washed his face with cold water, trying to revive himself. He was beginning to feel dizzy. His eyelids were heavy, and it was difficult keeping them open. He began to nod, right there at the bathroom sink, still with his hand under the water. Thoughts of fucking Michelle ran rapid in his mind. His dick was rock hard as his head began to nod backwards. Black glanced over in the doorway at a naked Michelle, playing with herself as she watched him. I'm gonna wear this bitch out, he thought to himself as a grin appeared on his face. Michelle just looked at him. I got him right where I want him, she thought to herself as she walked away knowing he'd follow.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. First off, can't play me, I ain't no Xbox. I'm pulling up, busting windows. I'm at your mama's spot, kicking cups, smacking dice. I'll make this block hot, no trapping here, slacking where? Wait, get your home right. I'm sick and tired of fucking crying and sleepless nights. Bitches approaching me, telling me they don't know of me. Oh, you think you slick, you think you got one up? You better ask my last nigga, cut his ass right up. Yeah, can't cry over spilled milk if I knew it was rotten. And all these memories we had, they was quickly forgotten. Oh, this nigga think he's smooth, he tryna cast it over me. Keep on lying through his teeth, leave his ass like Emily B. No pink turtlenecks, but I'm feeling bad. You less, I can't let him go, but watch me loosen up. My grip, I'm hopping in my bank. I'm talking about that go wall. Shit, I need a couple bags. Ain't talking about no go yard. The bitch you geeking for. I'm really about to drag and go and cry no more. I had to tell that nigga stop playing with me before they find this picture on murder me. Be more careful with me. I ain't like these other bitches that you used to better watch the way you handling me. I told you just be careful with me. You better be more careful with me. I ain't like these other bitches that you used to better watch the way you handling me.
Okay, my darlings, before I leave you this evening for you, early morning for me, we are now up to chapter 13. I will continue this soon. Today is the weekend, so I'm going to try to hit this hard because the month is coming quickly to an end, and we are at about 55% of the book. If you would like, we can have a discussion at the end, if you would like, and do a panel and all of that. I like to do my announcements at the end, so if you don't listen to the end, you're going to miss out. Don't forget, we have the giveaway coming up. You must, every video, you don't have to do it on every video, but at least one video, and, each account is, it's one entrant per account, and on at least one video, because I won't count multiple videos, multiple entries, okay? For the same account. For the giveaway. So the rules are 18 plus. You must have PayPal and you must be a subscriber. Go to any of my videos posted between November 9th and November 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? That's midnight my time. Okay? 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And put in the comments, not in the chat, any of my chats, but in my comments, enter me and hashtag KEYSDARLINS, okay? I will do the giveaway like I've done previous giveaways live on the 22nd. Don't worry if I haven't hearted your entry into the giveaway. That'll be a sign that I'm collecting the names and that the live is upcoming. The closer we get to the day, the better I'll be able to tell you what time I'll go live. Okay? Um, that's why I said Canada is fine. Canada is fine. That's why I asked for PayPal, and not Cash App. I want it to be a worldwide giveaway. I'm giving away 100 British pounds. So you can do the conversion into whatever. I deal with people all around the world. So that's why I'm using PayPal. Okay. And as the Queen of Receipts, you know, if we use PayPal, that your information is stuck with me. Okay. I'm a vote. I don't believe in that. Okay. Even if we fall out, no, I won't hit you like that. That's business, not personal. You understand? Okay. So much love, hugs, and kisses, darlings. I'm going to say it one more time just to make sure it's clear. You want to put into me on any of my videos, posted or streams, lives, whatever, gaming, all of those, or any of those, okay? Anything that I put up on my page, except for my community wall, between November 9th and November 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? To put into me a hashtag KEYSDARLINS. You get one entry per account because each of your accounts do add to my account for subscribers. So if you're subscribed to me with more than one account, each one of those deal, okay? But only one of those will get paid, okay? But each one can be entered for an entry, okay? I thank y'all for supporting me and standing by me. I love each and every one of you, and I'm grateful to give back to you what you've given to me. I appreciate each and every one of you if I haven't said that already. And I love you, darlings. You know, it's a lot of drama out here on these streets. We might have another book in the making. And by the way, Shannon Holmes, thank you very much for putting this art on paper.
Come on, man. Come on.